Houston here, and you're here for this FTR 1200 2022 model. First, a quick little rider's hack. If you don't like to ruin your shoes, because if you ride, you know when you shift, it brushes out your shoe right here. This is called gaff tape. It doesn't leave any residue. Very useful. I cannot postpone this video anymore. FTR 1200R. That's what we're here for. First, let's talk about what is it. It's a street bike, it's a naked bike, but the difference between many others, let's say an Aprilia Tonno, or which is not really in the same bracket, I guess, or CB1000R by Honda, or FZ1 by Yamaha, or MT10 by Yamaha, or most of those other naked street bikes, there is a difference. The original form of those bikes were sport. The original form of this was a cruiser. You can feel that difference. It's just something to keep in mind. Is it good or bad? It's just different. I'm gonna tell you about the cons first. I've ridden it for several weeks, a couple of months, actually, in order to have like a complete, image and understanding and opinion about this, and I feel like I do. Not in any particular order. Here are the cons of this bike in my opinion. Firstly, the tank, you probably know about it, but let me add something to it. Everybody says the tank is small. Yeah, it is small. It's 3.1 gallons, and I was way on E, and I wasn't able to fit 3.1 gallons into it. I was looking at some parts online, and I saw this tank diagram, and it looked like two chambers that are connected right here in the middle. You have a shallow spot for the tank, and then it goes into these two openings. From my understanding, the airbox is here, the tank starts somewhere here and ends right here. And the problem with this is that where you pump gas, the most shallow point of this contraption, meaning if I open this tank, I can put my point finger and I can reach the bottom of the tank. That's how short it is of a distance. And what that means in turn is that when you pump gas, the flow is just too strong for it to have a chance to fill both of those openings. It wants to come back out at you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to baby feed this tank every time you put gas in it. It's not a huge deal, but I've never seen that before. I thought it was kind of odd. Those drawbacks, most of these drawbacks, cons that I'm going to mention are actually dictated by the design. I feel like the design team were so determined to make it what it is that they had to sacrifice some of the practicality of this machine. And I'm going to give you other examples. Also, I do have to mention, it looks dope. In my opinion, it looks badass. It stands out, it gets appreciated, it gets looks, it's unique looking, so there's that. But yeah, the tank definitely I feel like was one of those things where the designers were like, yep, no, it needs to look like that, fit the tank in there. And the engineers were like, ah, shit, all right. The other thing with this tank is since we're on this topic, is that the consumption, I think they promised something over 100 miles, 120 perhaps. I'm not 100% sure, maybe I'll throw it on the screen. But if you ride aggressively and you have this pinned, and I was in the hill country too, I ran out of fuel in a matter of like 80 something miles. 80 something miles, that was crazy. I didn't expect that, and it was one of the first rides I've taken on this bike, and I didn't really pay attention to the screen. There's two different types of displays, and one of them does not display the fuel gauge very clearly, and I just didn't see it as I was riding. I was in the hill country, I was paying attention to the road. I was like, is there a fuel gauge? And I missed it. And then whenever the light came on, I was like, well, probably has 19, 20 miles on with the light on. It didn't. I ran out of fuel after the light came on with a matter of 8.5, 8.8 miles. I was on the side of the road with no gas. First time in my life in years of riding this happened to me. And shout out to Dennis the Menace, who brought me gasoline in like Snapple bottles or whatever. He was on a motorcycle too, so he came out, the boys came out basically and rescued me. The next is the seat. In my opinion, it's a huge miss on this bike, although it looks dope. Again, designers did a great job everywhere. It's just the practicality, like I said, was sacrificed. The red stitching, the shape of it, the red lettering that matches the steel tubed frame. It's cool looking. The shape of it is where the problem starts. I am 6'1", and this right here, this curve that keeps you in the seat from sliding back, I would rather not have it. I would actually prefer a smoother seat. That way I can slide back and I can stretch my back, you know, change the angle of my knees maybe, and just, you know, just stretch out. Or if I'm going faster, I want to be lower. Yeah, you're locked in right here. This is it. The other drawback of this seat, this curve right here on the stitching on the right side of the bike is soft and plush. On the left side, leather, a tiny little bit of cushion, and there's some sort of a bracket here or something. I can feel it with my finger right now. That's where your butt goes. I don't want that in my seat. And I'm 6'1". Here's my sitting position. We're gonna get to ergonomics. But see, if I wanna do this, I can't. Frame underneath there, that can hurt somebody, lose a virginity or something. Next drawback, I think the lack of ability to disengage the rear ABS is a huge miss on this bike. Absolutely, just maybe more than the seat and the tank, really, for me. Yeah, it is for me. So the story behind, and you know, I'm not gonna geek out, but from my understanding, this bike was made to reference the historical flat track racer made by Indian. Matter of fact, the pre-21 had a 19-inch wheel to kind of resemble that flat track, you know, style, which is also a drawback if you have 21 or you're looking at a pre-21, I guess, because 19-inch front wheel gives you a limited selection of tires. Going back to the history, if it's a flat track racer, and it's meant to go on light gravel, sand, whatever, dirt, and it's meant to have a fun character, which it does. Being able to disable the ABS should be totally doable on this machine. If any bike should go sideways, this should be it. And I keep trying to lock it out, and ABS just engages, and I'm like, boring. The KTM that I had, Super Duke, had ABS mode, Supermoto, what they called, and it was an older 2017 model. But what it did, it would keep the front ABS and disengage the rear completely. Anytime you want, you can just lock the rear and just go sideways a little bit, you know? It's so easy to ride, fairly low to the ground. The point is, it's fun and easy to ride. It feels like you're riding a scooter. You can just throw it around. It has the torque. It's playful, but that ABS is kind of it bums me out. The first gear is like, basically you want to shift it at like 35 miles an hour, you know. I don't know what the specs say as far as like how far you can get it in the first gear. Speed-wise, maybe, I don't know, 50 miles, maybe. But the thing is, when you reach 35 in the first gear, this thing is doing 5,000 RPMs, and it being a low RPM engine, it just doesn't feel at home, especially in the first gear. It gets all vibey. I want to take off from the traffic light and enjoy that first sprint 0 to 60. And that short gearing limits me so much, and it kind of just, it sucks a little bit. Perhaps you want to take off in the second gear. I haven't tried it. That might be just a solution for it. The thing is, when you get in the high revs, in the higher gears, it's not as noticeable. But first, second gear, it just gets a little out of shape. Those are the cons. Seat, no ABS, first gear too short, tank size. Let's go into ergonomics. Like, you're holding onto this tank, but you're not really holding onto this tank. Going back to what I said earlier, the MT10 or the 210, they're coming from the sports side of the, you know, bikes, and so the ergonomics there are a little bit better in a matter of holding you in place, you know, holding you locked in. But maybe that's part of the fun factor. Easy to ride, it feels like a scooter. Maybe that's because you're not locked in this bike. Maybe that's partially what it is. This feels like you can just stand up and you're no longer on the bike, you know. Pros on this thing, well, I mean, I have to give them the credit for the design. All these sacrifices, but it looks dope. It's beautiful, it stands out. The Carbon R edition with this dark red steel tubed frame. The other pro for this machine is the components and the design. and how fun and easy it is to ride. You got Akrapovic, you got all-in suspension, steel braided brake lines, front and back. My ZX-10R doesn't have steel braided brake cables. Talking to you, Kawasaki. What's the matter with that? And this thing does, you know, has Brembo brakes, has these beautiful carbon bits, the cowl, the tank cover, the fender. As far as the designs and the elements, I like this little handle setup. At first it was a bit confusing to me, but then it kind of gives you that classic look, and it's easy to tie stuff onto it. This, you know, a backpack or something, a passenger would be comfortable grabbing onto it. The other thing about the pros of this bike is how premium it feels. Like all these little stamps, Indian right here, on this side of the motor you have like an Indian emblem right here. The Carbon R, at least, you know, has limited edition, the number of this bike, it just feels premium. Indian, I guess, being a more of a niche bike, it just looks more special in a way. And the display is amazing, by the way. It's clear, it's crisp, it's touchscreen. The only thing about the controls that I can complain about is the high beam switch, which sits right here. With the gloves on, whenever I reach for the turning signals, I move my point finger and I catch the high beam sometimes, so I end up high beaming people without knowing it. I do it less now that I know about it, but it does happen. It's not a deal breaker at all. I'm just like cherry picking at this point. The suspension feels great. It feels a little bit harsh, but then it absorbs really good. So I think it's a perfect balance. It's just really good suspension, because I've ridden some shitty roads on this bike. I do like the texture of these grips, the little checker texture, that looks dope too. Don't like the mirrors, they're just classic ugly looking, but those are mirrors, whatever, you can replace them. There is a USB connection here, which all of those things I'm naming are definitely pros of this bike. You know, those are good features coming stock on your bike. I think these are great. Oh, you know what, one more con that I definitely find a little bit buggy. The clutch has like miles of travel, it feels like. You know, it's pretty out there. But the actual bite, where the friction zone is really short. It's like, how to explain it? Basically, you're releasing the clutch, nothing, and then it jumps really suddenly. So for a street bike, I think it's a bit aggressive, with the odd mix of being a little bit numb and the travel distance. It's a bit odd. It's not a huge deal. So pros and cons, done. The design, done. Ergonomics, done. Performance, well, like I said, they claim 3.5 seconds, but I don't know, I guess. Here's the side note. This bike, and any bike, will dictate the way you ride, right? Like the ZX-10R, it's super difficult to ride it without being a maniac. It's just difficult. You know, someone can say, hey, well, control yourself, blah, blah, blah. It's not about that. It's not about like, I'm not able to ride in a civilized manner. It's a matter of a fact that the ZX-10R not only will feel boring, it will punish you for riding, you know, speed limit, basically. The ZX-10R, you're riding 60, your exhaust sounds off, your engine doesn't feel in its happy place. It's not in its element. It's screaming at you, don't go 60, go 160. This thing, on the other hand, you'll be able to ride, have fun without being criminal, is what I'm trying to say. You don't need to do a 170 to get the kicks out of it. You know, the fun of this bike is between a 0 and 100. Past that, it definitely felt out of its element. Like at 99, 98 miles an hour, I was just like, yeah, okay, fine, you know, it's not really the bike for it. I think the top speed on it, I'm guessing 130, 135 maybe. I don't know how it will feel at 130. Probably okay, I don't know. Like I said, to me it's a 0 to 100 great little fun bike. 120 horses, 87 torque, definitely torque, which is expected. Side notes. People welcome this thing. Like, people that are not bikers always look at it. I notice, like, when I park at the store or whatever, make a grocery run to get my milk for my coffee or whatever, and just non-bikers appreciate it, it seems like. They really look at it, you know, it's just a really beautiful bike. Generally, people welcome it. Like, more riders, I feel like you get the waves from the... Come on, helicopter. Hey, I'm talking here. Bye. I didn't ride ZX-10R today, so I know that's not for me. You get more waves from riders of all kinds. You know,
get a load of all this brothers.
The sport bikes, the naked bikes. This will blend in with cafe racers, street bikes, cruisers. You know, it's just like kind of a good middle in my opinion. And before I have a Harley comment on my video, this made by Polaris, it's unacceptable. I mean, who cares? It's all big corporations, whatever. It's all relative is what I'm saying. I think Polaris did a great job representing this bike and what Indian is. I think they did a great job. I think that's generally sums it up. I hope it sums it up for you. Yesterday I was riding it. By the way, I'm gonna enter some of the clips of riding this thing so you can kind of see it on the road. I had a Cybertruck high beam me to warn me about the police ahead, so this is an official statement. I will never roast the Cybertruck ever in my life. That was pretty cool. Thank you for that. And 2 out of 3 riders said hello to me, so I don't know. I guess that's better than what I get on my ZX if we're talking about cruiser riders. All right, that sums it up. I hope you liked the video. At the moment, there's 381 of you. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for being here. It gives me the mojo to keep doing this and taking 300 cuts to make this video. All right, y'all. Yeah, if you're looking at it, test drive it, see how you feel about it. I feel a shorter rider would really fit this bike well, but generally it's just an easy all-around bike, and the main thing about it is that you don't have to be a criminal to enjoy it. You know, you're not gonna win in your races though, don't expect that, but it's a fun bike.